This is Charlie Parsons for Boxing Social in association with William Hill and Empire Fight Store. Always a pleasure, Mr. Frank Smith, who looks very happy as always to be doing an interview with me this lovely Wednesday afternoon.
I'm very happy to do an interview with you. I'm just a bit shocked at that last comment you made before we came on air, or whatever we call this. You said, I'm all Travelodged out, staying in Travelodge. I mean, Parsons, seriously, mate. Oh, you got to keep humble. Travelodged out? Who are you interviewing? Someone else? I'm over here.
Yeah.
What, you're Travelodged out?
Put it there.
Well, I thought that's where it goes. Okay, put it wherever you want. Put it wherever you want. Travelodged out, though. Seriously. Anyway, moving on. Nice to see you. I'm unbelievable, mate.
You've seen me now, you got a grin on your face, you're bowling about the gaff like we're best friends, until tomorrow when Eddie's here and you just neglect me again.
No, I think it's the other way around. You're so, like, you walk around, you're like to the security, hey guys, how are you? Hey guys, how are you? It's like, what's going on here? Mate, Geezer thinks he runs the place.
It's hard work. How are we? We've got a big fight week in Manchester. May's been absolutely manic. It almost feels like it hasn't stopped. Start off in Guadalajara for Canelo. Are you all right?
Sorry.
And then Dublin last week, which was spectacular. Now on to Manchester for Lara-Wood2. Why Manchester?
Quite honestly, because Nottingham wasn't available. So we had a set date for the show that we had to go with, and we couldn't move it off the date. We would have gone to Nottingham all day long, but the venue wasn't available, unfortunately. We looked at many ways of trying to make it work. And Manchester's a great fight venue. We've seen some great fights here over the years. It's a great place to do fights. As you say, it's been a mad May. It's actually been a mad few months and got a crazy lineup coming up as well. But, you know, looking back, Guadalajara was insane. Dublin was probably one of the best shows and atmospheres I've ever been at. And, you know, this rematch, everyone's looking forward to it, and I can't wait for Saturday night.
Before we jump into this card, I suppose only right we reflect now on Dublin. All seems very fresh and sort of everything back together again, back to back. But any sort of reactions now from the weekend? Now it's all sunk in a bit, maybe communication from Katie Taylor, Chantel Cameron. I know that they want to sort of start having more power now. Chantel told me she was sort of getting a bit fed up with how things were going in the week.
Look, firstly on the event, I think, you know, it was really unrivaled. The show itself was like something I've never seen before. The atmosphere was unbelievable. You know, the Gary Cully, I watched a lot of it back. The Gary Cully walkout was one of the best things I've ever seen. That atmosphere in there. Shame the ending didn't go the way we wanted with that fight. But overall, as an event, as a show, as a spectacle, it was everything and more we said it would be. You know, look, both fighters, respect to both fighters, because neither of them had to take that fight. You know, it was a fight Chantel had called for a long time. I think you can, like, Casey Taylor has built a legacy, you know, in female boxing and has been a key part, as a lot of female fighters have said, as to why the sport is where it is. You know, I can understand a little bit, because that was a massive occasion for Chantel as well, because it was all built around the homecoming as well. There may have been an element of I'm here too, but, you know, I think the event as a whole was why it was so big. You know, Casey Taylor's return to Dublin, as I say, was a massive part of it. You know, there's going to be some big fights to be made. You know, the rematch is obviously a great fight, but there's a number of other fights that can be delivered as well. And great time, and it's great to see. And, you know, male boxing can take something from this, the best fighting the best, and not letting everything get in the way. Chantel was so good because she didn't put stumbling blocks in the way. You know, she was defending her belts, but she didn't care about walking second, you know, all these things. And that's something that boxing can learn from, is about delivering the biggest fights. You know, it doesn't have to be hard work all the time.
Just on Gary Cully's loss, I know sort of there was a lot said about the refereeing, etc. Glad he is okay. Eddie spoke afterwards and was a little bit disappointed, said, look, this guy lost a wide unanimous decision to Sandor Martin. He shouldn't be losing at this level. Will Matchroom still be putting their trust in Gary Cully moving forward?
Yeah, look, it's a small blip on a long journey. Now, we still believe in Gary Cully's ability and what he can do. You know, he's going to have to rebuild and come back from this, but, you know, we still believe in him, and it's one of those things. It's happened in boxing. He probably shouldn't have lost against him. but he'll learn from this and take a lot away from it. You know, whether that means in the gym, whether that means, you know, looking at his weight division, that's something him and the team will look at, and, you know, we'll fully support him.
All right, Lee Wood, the man just there, credit where credit's due, a quick turnaround off a knockout loss. Are you worried perhaps for him that sort of with such a quick turnaround?
Look, I think, you know, you've got to commend him, because a lot of fighters in his place wouldn't want to take that challenge. Look, we all know what Maurizio Lara's about. We know what he can do. He's shown it time and time again. But Lee Wood in that fight was winning the fight. I think Ben Davison made a good call for the future, long term of his fighter. And I think, you know, we're in for another enthralling fight on Saturday night. And yeah, respect to him. You know, I think sometimes we've got used to fighters not fighting often enough at the highest level. And, you know, I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. You know, that they would have, as a team, they took a decision that was best for Lee Wood. And, you know, he believes he's going to go in there and get the win on Saturday night.
Frank, just run through the undercard. There's a few TBCs still. Akib Fiaz, who had a great performance last time out. Why have we not got an opponent announced for him?
I think there is an opponent. I'll double check on that, Charlie Parsons. But unless I believe there's an opponent, mate. But look, stacked undercard, top to bottom. You know, obviously Terry Harper was hard news for her to take last week. You know, especially with the first delay of the Breakhouse fight. You know, waiting again for that to come through. But you know, we've got a great fight and has been for her. You know, so it's going to be a real fight as well. You know, so excited for that one. You know, as well as that, you've got Jack Catterall's return. You know, I think Jamie was speaking to him earlier. Jamie from our office was saying he hasn't boxed in 455 days. Before that, it was something like another 300 days before that. You know, so key for him is activity. He should be, you know, in his weight division, number one. He went in there, he beat Josh Taylor. You know, there's no questions really about that, apart from the official decision. But he deserved to win that fight. It's a shame the journey he's been on in his career. He's had some tough times, but I believe now, you know, he's got a good fight against Darragh Foley on Saturday and really push on from here. You got Akib Fiaz, as you say, big ticket seller. Looking forward to what he's got to bring. Campbell Hatton as well. Aaron Bowen's back out. You know, William Croller, Anthony Croller's brother. You know, so it's a great card, top to bottom, and looking forward to a great show.
Frank, in terms of your US shows, obviously we got New Orleans. You want to talk a little bit about the opponent? Had some criticism online. I know that Arnold Barboza, I believe, turned down the fight along with Ramirez. Next available opponent?
Yeah, look, I'll be honest, it's never going to be simple, you know, with 3.5 weeks to go to find a high-level opponent. Zorilla's a great fighter. You know, he had a close fight against Barboza. That was his only loss. You know, I think, you know, the other thing is Prograis has been out for a while. I think we're going to be in for a decent fight.
Free fight deal as well, people need to...
Yeah, exactly, but I think we're going to be in for a decent fight. Look, it's not ideal. Of course it's not ideal. We didn't want Parrow to pull out, to withdraw. Unfortunately, he's injured. He's not going to be ready. It's one of those things. So, you know, we're always going to come under fire for certain decisions, but the key for us was to keep the show on, and we'll announce the undercard, some exciting fights to go on that card as well, which will be announced in the next few days.
Berlanga Quigley, that's just had a few fight additions to it, and then obviously when we were out in Dublin there was the announcement of Alicia Baumgartner's homecoming with a great co-main event between Richardson Hitchens and Montana Love. Just sort of speak through those two. Yeah,
Edgar Berlanga, obviously another new signing for us, excited about what he's got to bring. You know, he had a great career with Top Rank, he built himself up, and looking forward to having him on the platform. You know, after that, as you say, July 15th we announced a show in Detroit. Baumgartner, she looks to avenge her sole defeat against Christina Lindatu at a fight a lot of people didn't think she would take. You know, Michaela Mayer was going to fight her, obviously got pulled out last minute in that fight. And then great undercard, Montana Love against Richard Hitchens, and as well the professional debut of Andy Cruz. You know, who's a talent we're all looking forward to seeing. He's got a massive future, and this is, you know, showing coming out in his first fight against Burgos. You know, is a real show of intent as to what he wants to do in the sport. So yeah, stacked schedule in the US, some more shows to be announced in, you know, Mexico, some other bits and pieces in the UK. Working through a big schedule up until the end of December that we, you know, get as much of that out as possible. So excited about what's to come. We've been on a great run, you know, and again, I've said it a few times, but unrivaled in terms of this sport, in terms of what's been delivered over, you know, this year, and will continue to be delivered. So excited about what's to come.
In terms of UK headliners, we know we've got Sonny Edwards coming up June 10, and then obviously July 1 with Dalton Smith and Sam Maxwell. What more can we expect added to the schedule in terms of some of the UK shows?
we're working on some show, looking at July 29th for our next UK date after June 10 and July 1st. August 12th as well, potential date we're looking at for AJ. So it's going to be a busy schedule. We've got some massive fights to be made. I am not like Edward Hearn. You can ask him tomorrow, he'll give you every little detail. I like a bit of surprise, like when we announced Andy Cruz, no one had a clue about it. Quite like that.
Because no one knew if it was the real Andy Cruz you were texting or someone's burner.
I knew it was Andy Cruz. I believed it would be the real Andy Cruz. I was just had my fingers crossed behind me just in case it wasn't the real Andy Cruz.
Scenes when a big fat geezer turns up on fight night with a new pro contract with Matchroom.
That was me.
Frank, Bob Arum sort of said to Lomachenko after the fight that he won. Devin Haney has sort of denied all claims that he will be extending with Top Rank, and sort of put out that Bob Arum was asleep in between rounds when he looked over him, etc. Will you look at sort of rekindling that relationship and maybe moving Devin back to Matchroom, maybe at 135 or up at 140 where you're building a stable?
I thought you were going to say, do you think Bob Arum was asleep? I'll be honest, I didn't see him, but he does look asleep sometimes. Devin Haney, he's a brilliant talent, and a fighter that every promoter will want to work with. We obviously have a great relationship with him from the shows we promoted with him. Whether it's fights at 135 or whether, he looks to move up to 140, we got opportunity there for him as well. So, 100% we'd love to work with Devin, as I say, as I'm sure a lot of people would. So let's see how things play out. Get on very well with him. He's done so much in his career at such a young age and so much still to deliver, I'm sure.
Frank, just as a whole then, obviously Frank Warren's put out a tweet this morning saying that 9 p.m. ring walk times. I know this was something discussed between George and Eddie Hearn a couple of weeks back. Do you have any correspondence with Boxer regarding their show, Chris Billam-Smith and Lawrence Cully, as opposed to clashing with Leewood, Lara, ring walk times? I believe you're going to go around 10 p.m. Do you know sort of roughly what their timing is, and if there's going to be able to be a way where all boxing fans can watch all three shows?
No, to be honest, I haven't had any conversations with Boxer about it. I don't know what they're intending to do. I'm not sure what their position is with their licence in terms of the timings they can do the show. So I don't know. The good thing is about DAZN, you can watch it on about 25 different platforms. So it's available everywhere. So I'm sure people will be tuning in. Look, it's a shame that there's three big shows clashing on the same night. It's unfortunate. It does happen. It will happen. I don't know too much detail about what they're aiming to do. As you say, we're looking around 10 o'clock.
Frank Smith, top man, always a pleasure. Just lastly, did you manage to catch any of Frazer Clarke's interview with Umar?
Yes.
What did you make of it?
I was a bit surprised really by some of the statements, but I don't know, I'm not involved in the Frazer Clarke business. He's obviously been into Shalom and Sky, and they've sweet talked him into their overall plan. Ultimately, it wasn't for the benefit of the boxer, it was for the benefit of them, which is not the key in this sport. The key in this sport is delivering the best opportunities for fighters, delivering the biggest paydays. That's what we've always believed in, will continue to do. If other people don't want to do that, that's their business.
Frank, ultimately Smith, thank you very much.